story. It's pretty close to home for me. It's all about moving out of the big smoke and living the dream in the country. Chris, you know I've done it.
Yep.
So are you a potential sea changer or tree changer?
I think I'm in that majority that would love to do it one day. It's kind of the dream, maybe as a retirement or something like that. I mean...
I'm living retirement, yeah.
No, but you're not. But the thing is, I mean, talking to you, it doesn't seem like you could move back to the city even if you wanted to, right?
I've slowed down
You're into
a
that
lot.
mentality and
Yes.
it just, I mean, it doesn't show. But still, anyway, we're making the move out of the city. Definitely, it does have its lifestyle price benefits as well. But as I discovered, there's quite a lot to consider too.
We were living in a semi in Marrickville. We had 3 small children and the space was just closing in on us. So we decided to make the move up to the mountains.
Jane and her family headed west of Sydney a decade ago, settling in Lura in the Blue Mountains National Park.
We just needed to have some space outdoors so kids can be kids, you know. They needed to be able to be outside, to be able to ride their bikes, veggie patches, chickens, the whole thing. Yeah.
I feel like mission accomplished when we stand in this incredible backyard of yours. Now, when you did do that move, did it create any difficult conversations with family, friends?
My father, who was working in real estate, was the one who suggested that we look at moving into the mountains. He was looking at the price of properties and the reality of a larger family. And the best bit about having friends in Sydney is that when they come for the weekend.
Right.
Jane purchased this gorgeous 5-bedroom home built in 1920 for a fraction of what it would have cost in Sydney. In Lura, the median house price is $770,000, while Sydney's is about $1,079,000.
It's set on an acre, lots of lawns. It's really very beautiful.
Do you ever just sit back and think, okay, with my budget for what I'm getting here, what would I be able to get in Marrickville where I was?
Absolutely. We'd be in an apartment.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
It's easy to see why people flock to a town like Lura. It's absolutely beautiful here. But if you still need to work in the city, you really need to weigh up your options.
Property experts say buy carefully.
You've got to look about, are you able to get work in that area? Are you going to try and telecommute, or you do actually physically need to do a commute back to the big smokes to actually continue your lifestyle?
My job enables me to do some work from home, which is good.
And so how many days a week do you think you'd be driving to Sydney?
Oh, I never drive to Sydney.
Really?
Not
So
as I
you're on
can
the
help
train?
it. Yeah, I'm on the train.
I've worked in Balmain, believe it or not, for like 15, 20 years and stopped the commute now, work locally.
Are you really glad to be done with that commute?
Oh, golly gosh, yeah, definitely.
Jane works in Sydney most days, but being self-employed, she's able to avoid peak hour traffic.
I can get there in an hour and 10 minutes. And to be totally honest, it takes me the same amount of time as it does from St Peters to Bondi.
Yeah.
So that's a reality check.
And what about the toll physically and mentally, driving an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and a half each way per day? I mean, what does that do to you at the end of the week?
Any sort of commute's tiring. However, I just factor that into my day. So usually I'll hit the gym in the morning, I'll jump in the car, put a podcast on or get all my phone calls done and then get to Sydney. And then at the end of my shoot day, I have an hour to drive home, and by the time I get home, I've left that day behind.
The payoff is coming home to this.
So Jane, you're going to have a 100th birthday party next year for this place.
That's an amazing idea. We'll absolutely do that.
Yeah, you certainly got the space for it. I tell you what, I'm kind of sold. This all seems pretty amazing to me. Look at all the space you've got here.
I know, it's great.
There's no doubt living in the country is a great option, but if you still want to work in the city, you have to factor in the extra time you spend commuting, and Chris, that does come at a cost.
It certainly can. I mean, just back of the envelope stuff here, we're talking running a car, petrol alone for 200-kilometre round trip every day. It's around $150 a week, plus potentially another $150 in parking, depending, of course, on where you have to park. Big whack in tolls as well. I mean, it could be as much as $500 plus per week, and then you're talking wear and tear on your car. Of course, this is all very dependent on where you live and where you have to work, but still, it really does add up, Shelley.
And I guess once you're in the city, if you just wanted to catch the train, I think it's about $25 return from cities
that's...
like Geelong into Melbourne or the Blue Mountains into Sydney, if you don't need your car during the day.
Yeah.
But if you are someone who's sort of moving around town as well, that might not be as possible. We're looking at places like your Wollongongs, Newcastles, Geelongs, the Golden Sunshine Coasts. These are people across the states who are travelling a distance to work every single day. So while you might be saving, what, $300,000 on your home loan with the extra costs, it might be a bit of a false economy, mightn't it? So the train might be the way to go. But then that makes for a long day.
It
so
does.
then you're not as home as often as you would have been. Oh, I don't know.
Lots of way up.
There is.